You think the Middle Ages were romantic. Knights, castles, feasts by firelight. Let me tell you what it was actually like. Not for the king, not for the knight, but for you. The person you most likely would have been. A peasant, a serf, a nobody tied to a patch of frozen mud in England, 900 AD. And I promise you, you would not last a week. Let's start with where you sleep. Not a bed, not even close. You curl up on a pile of dirty straw on an earthen floor. The same floor your cow stands on. Because your cow lives with you. So do your chickens, maybe a pig. This isn't poverty by Dark Ages standards. This is normal. The animal body heat is the only thing keeping you from freezing to death in January. Your home is one room, 12 feet wide, maybe 15 feet long. No windows, just a hole in the wall with a piece of animal hide stretched over it. No chimney. There's a fire burning in the center of the room, and the smoke just sits there. It fills the space from the ceiling down. You've been breathing wood smoke every single day since the moment you were born. Your lungs are already scarred, and you're not even 30 yet. The walls are wattle and daub, sticks and mud, basically. When it rains hard enough, sections of the wall turn soft. You patch it with more mud. You've been patching the same wall your whole life. It smells. It smells of animals and smoke and unwashed bodies and damp straw and rot. You don't notice anymore. You were born into this smell. It is the smell of home. You wake up before the sun, not because of an alarm, because you're cold. You slept in your clothes, same clothes you wore yesterday, same ones you'll wear tomorrow, because taking them off means freezing. The fire burned down overnight. The room is gray and dim, and somewhere near you, the cow shifts and exhales a long, steaming breath into the cold air. Your back aches. It always aches. You're 24 years old, and your spine feels like a man twice that age. That's what years of bending, hauling, digging does to a body that never gets enough to eat. You don't wash your face. There's no clean water for that. There's barely clean water for drinking. You eat whatever's left from last night, if there is anything. A heel of bread so hard you have to wet it first. Maybe some cold porridge, gray and thick, sitting in a clay pot. You eat it standing up. And then you go to work. The sun is barely over the tree line, and you're already in the field. You work the Lord's land. Not your land, His land. You were born on it, you'll die on it, and you cannot leave it without His permission. That is what you are. Property, for all practical purposes. A serf. A body attached to a plot of earth. Your tools are wood and iron. A heavy plow if you're lucky. A hand hoe if you're not. The ground in October is half frozen. You break it anyway. Planting, turning, harvesting. The same rhythm, season after season. Except it never gets easier, because you never get stronger, because you never eat enough to build real strength. You work until the light fails. Your wife works beside you. Your children work too, the ones old enough to hold a tool. The youngest ones are back at the hut, hopefully not getting into the fire or trampled by the cow. You try not to think about it. The Lord takes a portion of everything you grow. Then the church takes a tithe, 10% of what remains. What's left is yours. It is rarely enough for winter. You know this going into every harvest season, and it doesn't make it less terrifying. Let's talk about what you actually eat. Rye bread. Coarse, dark, heavy as stone. It is the foundation of every meal. On a good day, there's a thin vegetable pottage, leeks, turnips, whatever survived the last frost. Occasionally, rarely, a scrap of salted pork or a piece of stringy chicken from a bird that stopped laying eggs. That's it. That's the diet. Day after day after day. Meat is not for you. Meat is for the Lord's table. The deer in the forest, those belong to the Lord too. If you're caught poaching, if you're caught taking a single rabbit from land that has been hunted by your family for generations, you can lose a hand, or worse. Now here's the part nobody talks about. The rye bread that keeps you alive can also kill you. Ergot. It's a fungus that grows on rye in damp conditions, and in 900 AD, nobody knows it exists. When the grain is bad, and some years a lot of the grain is bad, you eat it anyway, because you have no choice. And then people start having convulsions, hallucinations. Their fingers and toes go black and die from the inside as the blood vessels constrict. They see things that aren't there. They lose their minds. Your village has almost certainly seen this. You probably lost someone to it, and you had no idea why. You thought it was God or the devil. You had no other explanation. Every morning, you draw water from the same source your animals drink from, the same source your neighbors use, the same source that runoff from the fields drains into. You have no concept of contamination, no concept of bacteria. You can't see illness. It just arrives. One day, someone has bloody diarrhea that won't stop. 3 days later, they're dead. You don't know why. You pray over them and you bury them, and 2 weeks later, someone else gets it. Dysentery is so common, it's practically background noise. So are intestinal worms. Most people in this era are carrying parasites. You don't know you have them, you just know you're always a little hungry, no matter how much you eat. Always a little weak, always a little tired. Skin infections from cuts that never properly heal. Respiratory infections from the smoke, tooth infections. And in 900 AD, a bad tooth infection travels to your jaw, then your blood, and then it kills you, slowly and in tremendous pain. There are no doctors in your village. There's maybe a woman who knows which herbs help with a fever, which poultice draws out an infection. She does her best. Sometimes it works. Often, it doesn't. Your hut has no privacy. None. You were conceived in this room. You were born in this room. You've watched people die in this room. You have never in your life been truly alone. The fleas are everywhere. In the straw, on the animals, on you. Lice in your hair. Rats in the walls at night, scratching and moving, gnawing at whatever food stores you manage to hide. You set traps. It doesn't matter. More come. In summer, the flies are relentless. In winter, your fingers crack and bleed from the cold. Chilblains on your feet. The cold seeps through the walls at night despite the banked fire, and you lie there rigid, thinking about whether the grain stores will last until March. Your children, if you have them, have maybe a 1 in 3 chance of not making it to adulthood. You know this. Every parent in your village knows this. You've buried children. Your neighbors have buried children. You try not to get too attached too early, because the grief of losing them is the kind that doesn't leave a person whole. And yet you love them fiercely, completely. Because what else do you have? Let's be clear about your position in the world. You are a serf. You cannot leave the manor without your lord's permission. You cannot marry without his permission. You cannot grind your grain at any mill except his. And you pay him for the privilege of grinding your own grain. You owe him labor several days a week, regardless of what you have to do on your own strip of land. If he decides to increase what you owe, there is no one you can appeal to. If there's a dispute in the village, the Lord's reeve settles it. If there's a crime, the Lord's court handles it. If the Lord himself wrongs you, takes something, punishes you unjustly, you have essentially no recourse. You are not a slave in the formal sense, but the distance between your life and slavery is not as large as you might want to believe. The church teaches you that this is God's order, that suffering in this life leads to reward in the next, that your station was assigned by divine will. You believe this. You have nothing else to believe. It makes the whole thing bearable. Barely.
If you've made it to 25, you're doing reasonably well. The average life expectancy in Dark Ages England hovers somewhere around 30 to 35 years, but that number is dragged down hard by infant and child mortality. If you survive childhood, you might make it to 40, even 50, though your body at 40 looks and feels like 60 would today. What kills you? Maybe dysentery. Maybe a winter that won't end and a grain store that runs out in February. Maybe an infected wound from a farming accident, a blade slip, a kick from an ox. Maybe violence. Raiders come through sometimes. Vikings are still a real threat in 900 AD England. They don't negotiate. Maybe you just wear out. The body can only take so much before it simply stops. There is no hospital waiting for you, no surgery that could help, no pain medication beyond willow bark tea and prayer. When it's serious, you lie down, and people sit with you, and eventually, you die, or you were born, in that same smoky, animal-warm, one-room hut. Here's what I want you to sit with for a second. Everything I just described, the cold, the hunger, the disease, the servitude, the grief, the smoke, the rats, the absolute grinding relentlessness of it, that was just Tuesday. That was just an ordinary day. Not a crisis, not a disaster year, just life. And people endured it, generation after generation, century after century. They woke up in that smoky hut, ate that hard bread, worked that frozen ground, buried their children, and kept going. Not because they were stronger than us, not because they felt the pain less, but because they had no other choice, and because humans are almost incomprehensibly stubborn about surviving. The Dark Ages weren't dark because nothing happened. They were dark because the people living through them were surviving in conditions we genuinely cannot imagine. And most of them did it without ever seeing anything different, without ever knowing that anything different was possible. You wouldn't last a week, and they did it their entire lives. In Flint Chronicles, we put you inside a moment in history that the textbooks skip over. Not the kings, not the battles, the real people, running their lives, making impossible decisions, surviving systems that were designed to grind them down. If that is the kind of history you want, subscribe and turn on notifications because the next one is coming soon.